Lately, I've realized how much I miss the mountains. School takes entire weeks with lectures, labs, and papers, until every day feels cut off from the spaces that used to help me relax. I found myself drifting from one requirement to the next. What unsettled me the most was how quickly that pattern became normal. Eventually, a small gap opened in my schedule, barely a day, but it was just what I was looking for. Enough time to get in the van, put some distance between myself and the rush of school, and return to somewhere I actually felt like myself. I needed this journey to reconnect with myself, the landscape, and something bigger than my routine. I needed this space to remind myself what steadies me. The drive from Fort Collins to Red Feather isn't long, but it's enough to feel like a difference. As you travel, the landscape changes with every mile. Concrete gives way to dirt, the road breaking into its natural shape, wild and unrefined. There's something about this place that always leaves me mesmerized. Granite rises in rough, uneven stacks. Ponderosa pines hold their ground against the constant, restless wind. It's the slow, patient work of time that has shaped this landscape. There's far less human intervention here. I keep coming back because this region feels amazing to be in. It's a refreshing escape from the artificial environments I leave behind. It's public land, open, unpolished, a place you can step into without worry. The weather here feels like it has a mind of its own. Cold sweeps in fast. Wind slices across the Rockies without warning. Even on days I think I know what I'm driving into, the weather can change in an instant and prove me wrong. And I think that's part of why I return. Out here, nothing waits to be convenient. It just exists the way it wants to.
I finally made it out here. November is probably my least favorite time of year because of how fast the sunset happens. If you want to go and see anything with enough light, you have to work much harder to get there before it gets too dark. This beautiful lake is the perfect place to relax and camp in my van. I love being in the mountains, despite it being just a little bit too cold for me. Back in town, we've been in the 60s and 70s all week, despite it being mid-November, which is definitely weird, and we haven't had any snow in the mountains so far. But it's been very dry and very cold up here. I have just a little bit of light before I'm completely in the dark, so I think I'm going to set up somewhere and take some field notes for my ecology class and see what I can find.
When I sat down to take field notes for class, I realized that focusing on observation brought everything to life. The goal is to be present and fully engaged in each moment of observation. It's about noticing the environment as it unfolds, the subtle shifts, the small details you'd otherwise overlook. Most of the wildlife I saw earlier in the season was gone. Only a couple of small birds were active at dusk. Everything else felt withdrawn, quietly adapting to the onset of winter. I was surprised by how quickly the landscape transformed over the course of an hour. The whole experience became about witnessing the ecosystem changing over to winter. Taking notes like this makes you pay closer attention to things. I began connecting concepts from class, elevation, temperature, day length, behavior, to the changes unfolding right before my eyes. It's interesting to notice the mechanics at work behind everything, the quiet change operating in the background.
I spent an hour outside and it was freezing. I'm so glad that I'm cozy and warm inside my van right now. You don't even realize how cold it is until you sit still. I had to take note of what was happening outside because it's an assignment for my ecology class. In ecology, we're learning about ecosystems and how they change throughout the seasons. I started at the end of summer, and this is the 4th entry I've made so far. Over time, it's been really interesting and cool to see how the environment changes. There was a lot of wildlife to start with, and everything was so green. But now, all the leaves have fallen and there's very little activity. All the animals have either migrated or really limited their activity. I'm completely surrounded by these ponderosa pines and these massive stacks of granite. It almost looks like as if a giant just picked these blocks up and stacked them one on top of the other. In a way, this place reminds me of Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree has all these giant stacks just like this, except the rock is kind of a pinkish orangish color, but here it's gray, and instead of the Joshua trees, you have the ponderosa pines. It's very quiet out here, but it's also really beautiful. Maybe I'll get lucky with some potential star activity tonight if there's not too many clouds. This is a break that I've been looking forward to. It's the calm before the storm of finals week. I've been doing well in all my classes. It's been a lot of biology, writing, and ecology. So there's a lot of dense concepts to remember for all my tests coming up. I would say that one of my favorite classes that I've taken this semester has been my evolution class. In the past, anytime I took a bio course, they would always briefly mention the topic of evolution. We'd spend maybe a day on it, and then we'd just move on to something else. But to have this whole semester where I get to really dig into the details and mechanics of evolution has been so interesting to me. We had to read a bunch of studies on micro and macro evolution. And one of the interesting ones that I remember was the study of the three-spined stickleback. This is a species of fish that is located in Washington state, and it usually has two different phenological morphs depending on where it's located. In the open ocean, it has increased armored plating. In rivers and streams and ponds, that same armored plating is way less. It's almost non-existent. When they first started the study, the morph that had less armor was in the river. But then in the 70s, they started passing laws like the Clean Air and Water Act, and the visibility of the river started to improve. After the water cleared up, other fish that were in the river, like the salmon, which is a predator, were able to see more clearly. The salmon started attacking the sticklebacks because they could see better. Within 20 to 30 years, the stickleback began to re-evolve their armor plating. This trait became favored over a very short period of time. That's just mind-blowing to me. I never thought it was possible to observe evolution happening in a short period of time, let alone within a human lifetime. And it's a brilliant study. I don't even know how they had the foresight to put that experiment together. I'll link that study down in the description below if you're interested in reading it. But yeah, it's been a challenging semester so far, and although it's been a challenge to stay on top of things, I feel like I'm learning a lot and pushing outside my comfort zone. Next semester, I'll be doing a lot of plant identification. I'm a little bit nervous about that one because we have to know all the Latin names for a bunch of different species that I've never heard or seen before. But I'm sure with a bunch of time and practice, just like everything else out there, I'll get better at it. I slept great last night, but I wasn't able to see the stars like I wanted to. There's a cold front moving in, so the visibility isn't that great right now. It's strange because this time last year, this area had a bunch of snow on the ground. But this year, everything is dry, which is weird for late November. Walking around this lake is so relaxing, and it's things like this that get me thinking. In just a few days, I'll be 34, which is crazy to think because I don't even feel that old. My mind still feels young and energetic, but it's crazy how fast time flies. But when I think about this past year and how much personal growth that I've had, it really puts everything into perspective for me. I think it's important to push our boundaries. We should have the audacity to do the things that we could have never imagined for ourselves. I'm going back to school in a completely different field after years in healthcare. Who does that at my age? I feel like a lot of people would just settle with what they're doing, or maybe even find something easier. Sometimes, whatever your goal is, it might feel like an impossible task once you start towards it. But once you begin to break through that initial fear, when you get into the groove of things, you begin to see that taking one step at a time becomes possible. That's how it's been for me. I might not know all the details at first, but I know that it all starts to come together if I focus on one goal at a time. It's been hard focusing on school and running this channel, but I love both of them. I'll keep showing up as much as I can. They both mean a lot to me, and I love creating. A lot of the videos that I'm doing now require tons of research. Interviews, multi-day filming, editing, and time to put together. I'm doing this all on my own, and it's a lot to manage, especially with full-time school. It just might take a little bit of extra time for my new videos to come out. But there's a lot of interesting stuff in development right now that I can't wait to share with you.
When it was finally time to leave, the drive back felt different from the drive in. Though the scenery still had its familiar elements, my perception of it had changed. A single night spent out here doesn't always resolve things. It didn't erase the stress of school, or eliminate all of the work still waiting for me when I get back. Returning to this kind of quiet made one thing abundantly clear. Life continues to change whether we're prepared for it or not. Seasons change, routines evolve, plans unravel, and even the aspects of ourselves we believe are fixed can transform. Being out here reminded me that change often goes unnoticed. It often starts slowly and culminates all at once when we finally take the time to notice it. As I head back to school, facing deadlines and early mornings, I carry a clearer understanding of my purpose. This year has already shown me the rewards of committing to the challenging path, which demands more from me, but also reveals a version of myself I have yet to discover. I'm determined to keep moving forward, one step, one class, one video at a time. Everything else will fall into place.